Coming up next on In the Box Seat podcast.
I had 3 horses going to Johannesburg for the big Germiston meeting, Face North, Best Roll and Cover Gold, and they were killed in a car accident going to Germiston. My 3 best horses, all in the float, they were going to race at Germiston, and then the float was going to bring them down to Cape Town for the summer season. That was a kick in the guts like you've never had in your life before, believe me, and I was on the verge of turning it up, and my late wife just said to me, "You can't do that, you just can't give in like that." And I never forget her saying that to me, and I picked myself up and went on. And in fact, in 2000, I won the Guineas with Captain L, and that brought us back on.
Flight SAF Air 177 brought Rahil Radhikrishna, Warren Lenferner, Apiwe Mkhize and Tawanda Taravinga all the way to Hollywoodbets Kenilworth, and that's where we are going to be talking to a few guests over the week. We've come down to the fairest Western Cape, and we're here to have a good time. Vaughan is a man of horse knowledge. He's just a man that knows his way around a horse blindfolded, and he's going to be our guest today, and I'll come and introduce Vaughan more in a moment. But Rahil, before we get to Vaughan, lovely to be in the Western Cape.
Yeah, absolutely, Warren. It's we were just speaking to Mr. Marshall off here, and it's been great getting inside of his head a bit, and hearing his thoughts on things and how things are unfolding here, of course, and looking forward to the next bit that we do get to speak to him about his whole career in this industry and what he looks forward to in the future.
Vaughan, how are you? And thanks for your time.
Very well, thank you, Warren. Thanks very much for you both for inviting me along.
No, lovely, fantastic, and we've been really looking forward to it, in the lead up to coming down, and just lovely to sit and spend some time with you. Let's start off with, firstly, were you born into a racing family?
No, I wasn't. Immediate family wasn't, but my great-grand uncle was a man by the name of Lewis Addison, who had a lot of horses in training with Herman Brown Sr. And in fact, David Payne rode his first winner for him.
Okay.
So, then my interest in racing was started from that. Yeah.
Vaughan, you're a banana boy. You were born and bred in KZN.
In Bangor.
and schooling?
I went to Merkston in Maritzburg, and then to Maritzburg College.
Sure.
Were you much of a sportsman during school? Because Maritzburg College known for sport.
Yeah, I played rugby and cricket. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
was that never an interest to you to sort of pursue?
Well, it was. I had a contract to go and play cricket in England, and Tony Gregg, who was then captain of England, he offered me the contract, and I brought it home to my mother, and I was only 17 then, in those days, and I showed my mother the contract and that, and she picked it up and tore it up and said, "You'll be going to university first."
What did you study?
I started BCom, but it just wasn't me.
Vaughan, the training, and I say it with respect, I mean, it goes back a long way. I mean, you told us your age. I mean, you don't look that age. You really don't, and you're looking so good and so well. But over 50 years, where did it all start?
Well, it started just after I went to my mum and dad and I said, "Look, university wasn't for me, and I wanted to get a job out in the, and I'd like to learn to train racehorses." And I got friendly with Alistair Gordon, and I eventually went and worked for Alistair Gordon for a while, for about 2.5 years, I think. And then from there, I went and worked for Tony Finesse for a couple of years, about 3 years. So that's where it started.
You going back and telling your parents that, okay, university is not for me, was that love for wanting to go play cricket, was it never there again? I mean, and how did the love for you actually saying, okay, I want to train racehorses, how did that come about?
Well, yeah, I know the love to play cricket was still there, don't worry. And I've still played a lot of cricket on the choir. I played for Natal Country Districts for a while and things like that. So, when I had the time, I played. But if you're going to train racehorses, there's no spare time.
Sure.
It's 7 days a week, and you've got to work flat out. There's just no time to go and do what you'd like to do in relaxation.
What sort of convinced you that, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life?
Well, you've got to have that in you, and maybe it was lying dormant, and then just when it started, it blossomed, you know, and that's all I wanted to do. And if I had my life over again, I wouldn't have wasted those first 3 years at university. I would have started 3 years earlier.
Vaughan, Clarewood Park, we go back to Clarewood Park, because that's where you first started training, is that right?
Yes.
Take us through that journey of all your different training venues.
Well, there were no stables available at Clarewood or Summerfelt at that time when I decided to go on my own. And my mum and dad went and bought a property for me in Montclair. 82 Wood Road, I think it was, or Montclair Road, yeah, sure. And which is quite away from the racecourse. And the horses had to walk down through the streets and through the traffic at 8 o'clock in the morning to get to the track. So it was a bit hairy, but you know, we did it, and it was wonderful. A good walk for the horses, and then you could work them straight away and that sort of thing. So that's where we started.
Do you remember who was your first client?
My dad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
did you have a winner for him?
Yes, I did. Yeah, on his birthday.
Oh,
sure.
how special!
Goodness gracious,
Yeah.
that's lovely. That's fabulous.
And what was it like when you saddled your very first winner?
Well, it was a feeling that you just cannot repeat again. You know, even if when I won my first Group 1, it wasn't the same as having my
Your
first winner.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and you know, I started on the 1st of April, and it wasn't an April Fool's joke. But, and then I had 14 horses. I think of the 14, 3 could win a race. The rest were rubbish.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, well, Dad's given me all this and more, and I'm going to set this horse up for him. And a guy by the name of Armando Freddy came and worked for me.
Sure, Armando Freddy.
And we set this horse up for the 15th of July. And about a week before, Armando had a lot of back trouble and he loved his golf. And always after a round of golf, he'd end up with his back gone. So we were getting ready to run this horse on the 15th of July. And I said to him, Armando, no golf, please.
Yeah.
You know. And the horse was 33 to 1. Anyway, he said, no. But unbeknown to me, he snuck off on the Tuesday when he played golf. So I got a phone call early Wednesday morning, I can't ride, I'm buggered. Oh. So it was a big field, and the only one available, bless him, was Lawrence O'Donoghue. So I put Lawrence on him and gave him the instructions, and I said, please don't move, just sit and you'll win. Anyway, my dad came to the course because he was a bookmaker in those days, and the horse shortened remarkably in the betting, and it wasn't him because he never gambled. So anyway, and he won my 4.5 lengths, and that was the beginning of it.
Sure. Wow. Now that you've just sparked memory, Marshall's World of Sport, that was the family business,
yes,
was it not?
that's right, that's correct.
Did your brother, did you have a share?
No.
Okay,
no,
so that's right, okay. Then, when you went up to Ashburton, there were some greats that trained with you. I mean, you're going to, when Mr. Marshall mentions who they were at the time, you won't believe it.
Yeah, Brian Cunningham was there, Nick Feltman, and Dave Goss was there.
Paul Lafferty?
Paul came afterwards, slightly afterwards.
Okay.
Robin Watkinson.
Yeah.
And then George Uren came down from Zimbabwe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was some great, maybe a few that were just, but I mean, Lafferty and Des Egders, and they were all also there. Then from Ashburton, it was back to Clarewood, was it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, back to Clarewood. Yeah. And then what sparked the move to Cape Town?
It was 1999. My wife was killed in a car accident coming back from Greytown.
Okay, sure.
And at the time, Stephen was at varsity here in Cape Town, and my daughter was working in hotel school here in Cape Town. So I decided, well, you know, up roots and let's go back to Cape Town, and be with the kids and that sort of thing. So that's what started the move, and we got on and did it. From 125 horses at Summerfelt, I came back here and I had 27 horses to start with.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, obviously a lot of clients didn't want their horses to come to Cape Town and that sort of thing. So we broke down to 27, so we had to start building again, you know.
At the time, did you sort of think to yourself, have I made the right move?
Never ever doubted it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how many horses have you got in your care now, Vaughan?
We've got 96, we're full, and that's, I don't want any more than that.
Okay.
Yeah. At the moment, it's just Adele and I, we can manage with the 96, and if you go bigger than that, then you've got to have someone else.
Yes, absolutely. Talking of Adele, now here's a lady who's just passionate about the game, so hardworking, and just a wonderful human being.
Yeah. Well, she's been with me 15 years now. So, you know, and she's put up with my bad temper, whatever it is.
Bad temper, what's that?
No, she's been wonderful. Yeah, she's done a lot of good, and she's, as you say, she's hardworking and does a very good job.
You mentioned your daughter, you mentioned your son Stephen, whom we have the privilege of calling a colleague and good friend. He at one stage also showed a bit of signs of maybe wanting to get into sort of your assistant and that thing. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think he first of all wanted to be a winemaker, and then he thought, well, maybe the horses would be, when he decided not to do the winemaking, maybe the horses would be it. You know, and I just looked ahead and I thought, you know, when I first started, it was a game full of fun, and it was easy to get clients and things like that. And from then onwards, it just got harder and harder. And I thought, well, you know, for Stephen to go out and do it, it would be very, very difficult. And I just advised him not, you know, rather let's go another route, you know, which he did. And I think he's pleased that he went the other route. He went the corporate world, and I think it was the right choice for him.
Do you think looking back at how racing was compared to what it is now, is there a stark contrast between the two?
Owner-wise, yes, I think so. You know, owners are difficult to find nowadays, whereas in the old days, I mean, you only had to look at the crowds at the racecourse.
Yep.
You know, I can remember going to Maritzburg, and I had a filly called Corn Dolly running for my parents, and we watched her run there. And the stand was full on a Wednesday afternoon. You must remember that in those days the banks closed on a Wednesday at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, whenever it was. And so people, well, the bank workers were at the races, and people that were doing repping and things like that, they worked their week out, and well, Wednesday afternoon we were racing, you know. So there were a lot of people at the races, a lot more than nowadays, obviously. Yeah.
Talking of your owners, the band of owners that you've got currently, correct me if I'm wrong, are friends more than owners. I mean, the Trooters come to mind.
Yeah, very much so. You know, I've known Ken for 25 to 26 years, and his lovely wife Jane, and the Garblers, that Raina and Cheryl, and you know, I've got a really, really nice band of owners. I don't think I could wish for anything more than the ones that I have. And in the past, I've also had good owners.
Absolutely.
You know, so they've helped you go through it. And I mustn't forget Rakesh Sagulam. I mean, he's as staunch as they come, and he's been with me a long, long time, and we've had a lot of success.
Which is your favorite course in the entire country?
Kenilworth.
Kenilworth.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a bit biased now because
I thought you said you were a banana boy. No, it's a glorious
It's
course.
always been my favourite course, even when I trained in KZN, and then Clearwood was second, obviously. But yeah, you know, when you've won 6 Cape Guineas, or 2 of them were at Milnerton, and the others are here, and you've won 3 Mets, Kenilworth's definitely my favourite.
do you have a favourite victory, one win that just tops everything?
Yeah, I think one stripe winning the King's Plate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Sure. That's something that's just happened so recently.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know, you might have heard, I don't do that often. In fact, it's the first time I've ever run a 3-year-old in the King's Plate.
Sure.
And I had a crack at it, and it came off. I don't know if I did the right thing, but...
what gave you the confidence to believe in yourself that you're making the right decision, and to have that confidence in the horse to know that he's in the right race against these type of horses, that he can actually pull it off? Because I mean, you've never done it in your previous 49 years or previous years that it may have been, but this year was the year that you said, I'm going for it.
Yeah, no, I think Gavin Lorena.
Okay.
Yeah, a magnificent person to work with.
Yeah.
And his knowledge of the game and assessing your opposition is out the top drawer. And he said, no, we must have a crack. So then we concentrated on it.
That's what it's about, Vaughan. Rider and trainer to work together. I mean, for any successful business, you can't have you going in that direction, the jockey going in that. You've got to be on the same page.
100%, and that's why you know, MJ Baileyfelt and I were together for 11 years, and it was an absolute pleasure. And we knew exactly, we knew how we worked, and the advice we chatted about, and we do that. It was all discussed, and it was like having him at home all the time.
Yes,
you know,
yes.
It was just wonderful to have, and I miss it. I really do miss him. You know.
Let's elaborate a bit more on MJ, because he is, as you said, was an integral part of your yard for a long time, and he's still a close friend of yours. He's just a wonderful soul, and he's just a wonderful down-to-earth person who's really actually doing exceptionally well in his second career.
Absolutely, he's just one of the most magnificent people around.
Yeah.
You know, and we got on so well. I can tell you lots of funny stories with him.
You weren't around the day when he wore his Springbok
I was.
Speedo. Did you ever see that?
No.
That's when he won the Guineas.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, I think it was the sales race, one of them anyway.
A win that would come to mind between the two of you guys would be One World, and the success when he, I think it was the Met, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Winning the Met, and now, how was it to have all that success with One World first season, with all of with his crop, and I mean, what was that like?
It was just wonderful. You know, if you go through the stud book, there are quite a few horses that have been through my yard and are now standing at stallions, and to have one do what One World did was just chest pumping. It really was. It was just wonderful.
When it comes to his traits and his characteristics compared to his sort of crops, I mean, is there a difference, or do you see the temperament? I mean, they're sort of the same.
Yeah, they are still the same. They're big, strong game horses. You know, they've got a little bit of quirkiness about them sometimes, but you can get through that, and there's some really, really top horses amongst them.
Let's talk about. We'll come back to horses and some of the greats that you've trained. But we've spoken about family. But behind every good man is a good woman, and you've got that in Jenny.
Yeah. She's been absolutely magnificent, taking all my nonsense, and when we have bad days, sort of the quietness and things like that, but she's so staunch and so supportive, and she gets on really well with my clients, which is the main thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she gets on very, very well with Stephen and Kate, my daughter in America, and it's just wonderful to have her around.
Yeah.
You mentioned bad days. Mr. Marshall, how do you yourself deal with bad days? Because in this game there can be plenty of those.
He'll go to the nearest restaurant, have a good meal and a nice bottle of Sauvignon Blanc.
Is that easy?
That's very easy.
Sauvignon Blanc. This is the wine lands. This is where absolutely. So a good meal and a glass of wine. Okay.
And forget the race meeting till tomorrow.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
How do you sort of deal with setbacks? I mean, are you the type of person that can just bounce back rather quickly from it?
Yeah, you do. You have to. You can't mull over them and let it draw you back. You know, you've got to get up and get going.
Sure.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Well, I don't think I'm wrong, because there were a couple of horses you had scratched due to a virus fairly recently, and we were chatting in Durban, Raheel and I, and I said, the horses went a little off, but they came back so quickly, and I said that's a sign of a top yard, that you can turn things around, which you did. I mean,
you've got to, you've got to identify what the cause is and sort it out, But I'll just give you an example of having a bad experience is in 1991, the end of 1990, I had 3 horses going to Johannesburg for the big Germiston meeting, Face North, Best Roll and Cover Gold, and they were killed in a car accident going to Germiston. My 3 best horses, all in the float. They were going to race at Germiston, and then the float was going to bring them down to Cape Town for the summer season. That was a kick in the guts like you've never had in your life before, believe me. And I was on the verge of turning it up. And my late wife just said to me, "You can't do that. You just can't give in like that." And I never forget her saying that to me. And I picked myself up and went on. And in fact, in 2000, I won the Guineas with Captain L, and that brought us back on.
Was that by far the worst experience in racing for you?
Yes, I think so.
You mentioned a name. You just left one word out. Mighty Captain L.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this racehorse. Let's talk about him.
Yeah, no, he was very special, and a very great friend of mine who owned him, Gary DeSantos. When he was coming up for sale in Johannesburg, he said, I want to go and buy this horse, go and have a look at him. So I looked at him, and he was a specimen and a half, he really was. But unbeknown to me, he'd failed the vet, and I couldn't find anything wrong with him, and I was prepared to accept my judgment. Anyway, we bought him fairly cheaply as it happened. Not cheaply, but it turned out it was cheap at the price. Anyway, he was, and the rest is history. I mean, when he came and started racing here, I mean, the first time I ran him here in a 6 furlong race at Kenilworth, and Robbie Frad rode him. And going through the junction, there was a mark across the course, and he hurdled it. I mean, I've got videos of it. How Robbie stayed on him, I'll never ever know. Never know.
Sure.
And he won very comfortably, and that was the beginning of him.
Captain L, yeah, well. And then you've got a close association with Claverflay stunt John Coster, of course, because William Longsword, I mean, a lot of those from Claverflay.
Yes. Now I have. John and I have been great friends for many, many years, and he breeds a lovely horse, and it's always the first stud I go to and have a look at. So, yeah, we go back many, many years, and we've had lots of success.
I'm sure you've had a few glasses of Sauvignon Blanc at his pub at the top of the hill.
That's a recent thing, you know. We had above the stables with that pub. We had lots and lots, and at the house.
And you were the first trainer to have a satellite yard in this country. Is that right?
Yes. I had it in Port Elizabeth, and Joey Ramsden was who worked for me, and he ran it for me. Yeah.
And Joey Ramsden has just had his first two runners back in England. I didn't find it.
One ran second. Yeah.
Oh wow! Okay, fantastic. So he's had a second. Okay. Cape Guineas was 6 times.
Yeah, and a couple of seconds too.
Favorite horse that's won the Cape Guineas? Putting you on the spot.
William Longsword.
No, I mean,
Face North. I mean, Face North was a chuck out. Mr. Millard threw him out without racing him, and he won his first 6. I won first 6 with him, and he shouldn't have got beaten in the South African Guineas at Greyville. Even Kevin Shea will admit he made a blue.
I mean, you spoke about Captain L, Face North, William Longsword, and I mean, of recent history, One Stripe. I mean, when it comes to training those horses, what's it like when it comes to learning about each one of them? I mean, are they very different or are they similar?
Well, yeah, no, they are different, but in stature and build, they're pretty similar. Simply because I go and buy a certain horse, you know, and another one like that is Dean Canema. He buys a certain type of horse. Most trainers do, but they were both big strapping. They were all strapping individuals, and you know, Captain L, Face North. I didn't buy him obviously, but William Longsword, linebacker. He just got touched off a short head. Yeah, they were all big, strong horses, you know.
And you are one of a few trainers in the country that, when it comes to a horse, I mean, horses always turned out impeccably.
Yeah, whether a horse of yours has got, not that you've got many of them, have got a weakish pedigree or might not have the best form, it's competing in a maiden or a grade 1. Vaughan, how do you guys do it? As Rahil says, there's others in the country, but how do you do it?
I've got one very special man, and he's a very, very close friend of mine, a man by the Malabonga Mvanta. He's the one who does all the work, and believe me, he's a gem.
I mean, you can spot a Vaughan Marshall horse from a mile away.
Absolutely, you can, and it's something to be proud of, which I'm sure you are.
Absolutely.
As we said, I can't remember who it was. You know, that's, if you're a baker, you're baking cakes. You want a delicious, tasty, moist cake. You know, you're a trainer. That's, people are looking at what you're doing. That's your job. They're looking at. You know?
No, from the platting to really making them look good at the races, he does all that.
Is there any science behind the platting of the mane?
No, it's just you want them to look special.
Okay.
You know, I don't forget words from my dad when I was still playing cricket. He said, if you can't be a good cricketer, make sure you look like you're a good cricketer.
Sure. that's excellent. Yeah, that's excellent. That is brilliant. Vaughan, just one other horse I want to touch on is questioning. I mean, how well he just loves Hollywoodbets Durbanville.
No, you know, he's won races here at Kenilworth as well, but the 1400 at Durbanville, he really does do well. You know, if I want to be critical of him, that I can't be. He's won 8 races, so I'm not being critical of him. But I think he's a horse that's just below the top class. You know, he certainly is not a Group 1 horse, and even a Group 2. He'd be found wanting unless you got the right race for him and things like that. And the Matchem's a Group 3, and the one, the Cape Classic, he won as a 2-year-old. That was as a 3-year-old. That was Group 3. So he's a very good Group 3 horse. We've still got to get the Group 2 out of him. So we'll be working on that.
Were you? I mean, you mentioned that. I mean, so it may answer the question that I'm about to ask. You were a bit disappointed with him during KZN's champion season?
No, I wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, Tony Rivlin did a magnificent job. He looked magnificent. So, no, I looked, to be honest, he only had 3 runs there, and he was drawn wide in all of them, and things just didn't pan out for him, you know. So I'm sure that if he'd been better drawn in the Drill Stakes, he would have run a lot closer. He was only just beaten a couple of lengths anyway. So, you know, and I'm not criticising Gravel, don't get me wrong, but you know, the draw plays such a big part in a race. And some horses do win from wide draws, but then those horses will they do it. But there are some horses that have to be drawn well.
Yes.
And he's just one of those horses, unfortunately.
We haven't seen you in KZN for the previous 2 seasons. I mean, last season there was a bit of whispers that Mr. Marshall might be coming, but
got us all excited.
Exactly, but I mean, you were telling us off air that you've now got the stock and you're ready to tackle KZN. Yeah,
Rahil, you know, coming to KZN for the winter is not a cheap business, you know.
Yeah.
Your floats, if you've got 2 floats, that costs you 100,000 rand there and 100,000 rand back. So, you know, in fact, even more than that now. You've got to make sure you can pay expenses and then your accommodation, because you're virtually running 2 households.
Yeah.
So it's a very costly business. So you can't just go there on a whim and think, well, I'll make do, and you can't. You've got to have horses to compete in the big races, and hopefully you pull off a couple of those, and then, you know, it's all hunky-dory after that.
Share with us a couple of horses that we can look forward to, you know, that you're going to be bringing up to KZN.
Yeah, well, we've got to okay it with the clients first of all, but I mean, I think horses like Saudi Cat, Questioning, obviously, Sierra Sagrada, Vapor Trail, Dream World. We've got some really nice horses to come up, you know. Viva La Vida, United Front. We've got some really nice horses.
Yeah, he won quite a game race, gutsy win a couple of weeks back.
He's a very good horse. He's a very good horse.
And
I think he was one of the horses that actually suffered a bit of
absolutely
setback from
with the virus.
I
think in his second start he was odds on, and he ran last. And just
out.
And I mean, again, another great training feat to bring him back after the virus. Bang, and he was, you know. But what a lovely horse you've got. He's quite good. As you say,
he's pretty good. Yes.
Yeah, that's United Front. Absolutely.
One stripe we know has gone on, and what did you make of his first run?
Yeah, I thought it was a very good run, considering, and as I said to you, you know, he was in quarantine for 3.5 months, and he got to America, I think it was the 16th or the 17th of July, and he ran on the 13th of September, so it's within 2 months, you know, and he got beaten, 5 lengths. So when you look at it and those sort of things, it was a terrific run.
Yes.
You know, and people were blaming the jockey and that. You don't know the horse, and it's difficult. The horse doesn't know those courses because, as you see, they're on the turn all the time, and it's very tight. So all in all, and the time that he had his preparation and that, I think he ran a terrific race.
And then a horse that rewarded you with a big win last season as well, a horse that you were involved in yourself, All Out for 6. He's been exported to Hong Kong now.
Yes, no, he arrived in Hong Kong over the weekend. Yeah.
What was it like winning that big sales race?
It was bittersweet, because that's one stripe.
Beat.
You know, I mean, I'd worked the 2 together 10 days before that, and it was embarrassing.
It's amazing, this game. It does make fools of us at times, doesn't it? It does.
It's a great leveller too. Don't worry.
Talking about levelers, do you have any hobbies, Vaughan? I mean, what do you do to relax? I mean, and how does Vaughan Marshall and Jenny relax?
We've got a lovely restaurant in Melkbos called Melkbos Kitchen, or Cafe Orca, and we also watch lots of sport.
Okay. Melkbos Kitchen, that is exactly the restaurant. I think it's quite near Ons Hasey. There's a restaurant. No. Is that a bit further apart? Okay, but Melkbos Kitchen. Okay.
I mean, you mentioned rugby and cricket. I mean, do you have any specific teams that you follow?
I still support the Sharks, unfortunately.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Which
Wasn't too great over the weekend.
No, it wasn't, and I'm taking a lot of flack from Robert Bloomberg, you know.
At least you're sticking to your roots. You haven't converted.
No.
And soccer, Vaughan, not much interest in soccer?
No, not really.
So it's
no.
rugby and cricket, rugby and cricket.
I mean, do you follow more franchise cricket or international cricket?
International cricket, yeah.
Okay, South African fan, of course.
Yeah.
He's asking a lot of cricket questions because he's a darn fine cricketer himself.
Good.
What do you say? If you can't play well, you must look at least like you can play well.
Like you can play well. Then there's a gentleman that's probably one of your biggest supporters, whom is actively involved in the industry and is just a wonderful man. He loves his animals, he loves his horses, he loves his cats. That's Tony Ridgway. How long have you known him? I mean, he's a great man.
I've known him many years. He was the what you do at Greyville, he did here at Kenilworth for many years. Okay. And we've known each other for a long time, and he's just passionate about racing, and he loves his horses, and he pops in every now and then to have a look at them, and you know.
Yeah. And the cats, he's a cat man. You see, you've got Smudge and Kelly, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
Smudge and Kelly. Yeah, Tony Ridgway, and just as we sort of enter the home straight or towards our finishing of this podcast, I just wanted to ask you about your jockeys. Now, Oswald Noach, Sean Veal, and others. You know, Sean's a great rider.
Sean and I go back a long time, you know, and he came down just after his apprenticeship and he rode for me here, and he was quite a naughty boy in those days, and he got fired and sent him back to Durban. But he's very, very much more focused now, and he's a damn fine jockey, he really is. Ozzy Noach is Mr. Reliable. You know, he rides work. I think he rides more work than any jockey in South Africa, and he's incredibly fit.
In fact, there was an insert that was done. I don't know if you saw it. Lovely. He's a strong guy.
Yeah,
he's fit, absolutely.
Very fit, and a lovely guy to work with, yes.
Yeah, Sean, you know, when you say he's sent him packing, and that's typical of the old school, you know, no nonsense. These gentlemen and ladies don't take nonsense. You had to do a job. That's the bottom line.
I mean, he's still such a character, though, Sean.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well,
what a character
in those days, he'd been with me about, I think, 11 months, and he'd ridden 50 winners for me.
Wow.
That's right. But he is an absolute character. You're quite right. You can hear him a mile away.
No, absolutely.
And he's just wonderful. He certainly is wonderful.
Aiming for the season, sort of, what sort of group race are you hoping to get under the bag?
Well, I think all our group contenders really are in the 3L category, you know, so that's where we'll be going. The Guineas, the Punters Cup, we'll start off with the Classic on the 2nd of November, and then head to the Derby, and you know.
Early days still, but do you think you could we see what you did last season with a 3L going for the King's Plate? I know it's still early days.
You're looking for stable information. We're going to have a crack at it if things work out. Yeah.
Oh, good.
We're talking about the KZN season, but there's still a lot of business before you get there. I mean,
absolutely.
You know, now of course we're going to the end of the year, early January, etc. It's still, I mean, it's wonderful how the programs work out, Vaughan.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. It keeps us focused, but the thing is to place your horses correctly and have your plan in action. Yeah.
How many months in advance do you sort of start planning ahead for?
Well, from August I was looking at the program to see where we can do, what we can do, and I've got last year's KZN one, and you sort of flip through it and think, you know, it takes a lot of work, and you know, I don't believe in running in those big races. I don't believe in running a horse in those races if you've got no chance, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd rather not have a run.
Given that you don't have a stable jockey, is it just you and Adele that sort of go through it?
No, I do most of it, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But it takes a lot of work and a lot of planning.
Yeah, it certainly does. It really does. And when you go to the sales, you've spoken about looking at Klavervleis horses first, etc. But obviously, do you get a chance to go through the majority of them, or
I look at most of the horses, yes.
And what is it selecting a yearling? Tell us about how you do that.
Warren, it's very difficult, you know. But I try and look at the horses without the book in front of me, and if I see an individual, then I'll go back to his pedigree and look at it. Those are the main horses. The others, I will look at the pedigree and then go and pull them out. And if there's a slight fault which you think you can get away with, then I'll take the chance, you know. But basically, the horse must be, the first thing he must do is be a striking horse and make you know, Reggie Passmore, I took him to the first yearling sales I ever went to, and I was standing in front of him and I pulled a horse out and I looked at him and looked at him and looked at him, and he said to me, "Vaughan, what are you trying to do? Make him look good." He said, "If you don't like him, put him back. Don't waste the time." And that's very true, you know. Why must you try and find a reason to like him?
Yes, yes.
You either like him when he comes out, and that's him, I want to look at him.
Yeah.
If he comes out and he's, no, put him straight back. You're wasting my time and wasting the breeder's
The
time.
breeder's time.
I mean, it's sort of love at first sight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you know how many people that we've interviewed that have said, as they come out the box, they've got to just grab
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
And as you say, I suppose you don't want to, you know, the breeder, you don't want to, you know, you feel a bit obliged to walk them up. But yeah, you're right. You know, if it's, you know, if they're not doing it for you, put them back.
You've got to
Move on
go
to the next one.
300-400 horses, and you need the time. You know, you can't just waste time.
Absolutely.
So if you don't like the horse, and I'm sure the breeders that understand as well, you know, because you'll find a horse that you do like, so you'll spend more time on
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
When it comes to picking horses, is it often a head of a horse that catches you, or the way they walk?
Well, you have to have a bold eye in that, but the way they walk is the big thing.
Yeah.
You know, he's got to be an athlete.
I'm so glad Vaughan mentioned that bold eye, because you know sometimes you in the parade ring, and you know, you're talking about horses as we do, and we learn every day, especially him and I, and we learn every day, and once or twice an eye, you know, catches your attention, and a nice, rich, dark, bold eye, and I say it, and some people say, "What are you talking about?"
No. Well, I mean, that's one of the things that when a horse walks out the box, because his head's coming out towards you, that's the first thing you see. If you see these horrible little pigeon eggs and his eyes and that, not for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there you go, bold eye. Just, it would be remiss before we close up if we didn't get an opinion from you about Race Coast KZN, Race Coast Cape Town. What a breath of fresh air.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you just walked into this building now, and I haven't been to Greyville, so I can't comment, but you walked into this building today, and what a difference from the last time you were here.
Absolutely.
And when you walk onto the course on race day, you can feel there's a change, you know. And Hollywood and Greg Bort, godsend.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must have been distressing. I mean, Mr. Marshall's seen the game at its very best, and you've obviously also seen it at its very worst. You know, and it must be so encouraging for you as well. You know,
without a doubt.
That they've pulled it out of the fire.
No, absolutely.
The future does look bright as well, which is a huge positive for the game. You know, because it's something that there's so many years that have gone on, and so much of history that you wouldn't want something like this to just
of course, you know, and over the last year, I must admit, I've had people phone me up or send me a text message saying they want to get into racing. Now that didn't happen for many years. You know, you as a trainer had to go and find owners, and you know, one thing that we miss in this at the moment is, you know, when Mr. Beck and Mr. Jaffe and were around, they brought in a lot of people into the game, and now you're getting top owners. That's happening again now. Lawrence Werner's, Ken Truter, they're getting people to come into the game, which is what we need, you know.
Absolutely. Mr. O'Brien is an owner of Robbie Hills, Blue and White Silks, I forget his first name. He was out of racing for a long time. He had a runner the other day. And
I won a Group 1 for him many years ago.
Is that the same with right? So people are coming back, which is great. You know, people are coming back, and to see all the old owners back, and it's syndication too. What is your opinion on syndication? Yeah,
it's very exciting, but you know, I don't know why South African people or race goers or race owners don't appear to be that keen on it. You know, I mean, you go to Australia, and some of those syndicates have got 100 members.
Wasn't the Melbourne Cup winner owned by a syndicate?
I'm not sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't know what it is. The attitude is just slightly resistant, put it that way. If we can get people to get into it, you know, it would make a huge difference.
Do you think it's a culture that's probably off a bit in South Africa compared to Australia?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I mean, I've tried desperately to get in, and I've possibly had the most successful syndicate
All out for six.
all out for six, But it's to get people to come in again, and it's a fun way to race,
Yes.
Yeah, it certainly is.
I mean, it's a great way to meet new people.
Yeah.
And I mean, so much can happen from that.
Absolutely.
And,
I think in Australia, a lot of people know racing.
Yeah.
In Mauritius, a lot of people know racing. South Africa, a lot of people know racing.
Yeah.
Yes, but it's you just bump into some people that you say, if you've been to the races, your horse racing, they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So that makes it a bit
I
more
think
difficult.
You go and look at Australia. One in every 234 people has got a share in a racehorse.
Yeah.
That's right.
Whether it's the tail
Yeah.
or the ear,
Yeah.
doesn't matter. It's your racehorse.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I think it may also come down to the age thing. In South Africa, we have a lot of older people that are involved in the game, whereas Australia, I think you see a lot of youngsters getting involved in the game. And
Yeah.
I think maybe if we were to get more youngsters involved, we'd probably see more
I'm
syndication.
sure you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And the reason is that we had a couple of years where when those older owners passed away, and that there was like a void,
Yeah.
and we need to get the young people back in again.
Yeah.
And I wish when I won my first Met, you couldn't walk across the lawn here
Sure.
to the winner's box because of or the winner's box is to the back. But I mean, all this whole lawn here was covered with university students who would just come in and put their blanket on the floor, bring their own hamper of lunch and that sort of thing. They were all varsity students, and that's what we need to come back
Yeah.
to the races.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the syndication is it certainly is.
And
It's a great way. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's the most feasible option.
Yeah,
There's been
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely feasible option, and I think the gateway, and maybe I'm expecting it to be happening too quickly, but with being able to broadcast the product through to SABC,
Yeah.
then when people started hearing about
Yeah.
it, the social
No, I'm
squads
sure,
and all those
sure.
types of
Yeah.
syndicates. But yeah, it's certainly it's as you say, it's the most
Yeah.
economical and easiest way to race, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've come into the game. You own a couple of racehorses, and through syndication. So,
Yeah.
Vaughan, what a lovely time to just be with you and chat with you, and just to be in your city, the beautiful city of Cape Town, and we look forward to being with you and welcoming you with open arms in KZN, and just thanks for your time.
Thanks, Warren. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you,
Mr.
Raheel.
Marshall.
Thanks a lot.
It's been
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you, Vaughan. And that's a wrap from us out of Hollywoodbets Kenilworth. Been lovely to chat with Mr. Marshall, and what a great man and a legend, and trained top horses, made stallions of them, and as I always say, could be blindfolded and work his way around a racehorse. It really has been great, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant getting to know more about Mr. Marshall, and we look forward to him. Look forward to at least seeing him in KZN next year.
Absolutely, we do. Well, that's a wrap from the In the Box Seat podcast team. The In the Box Seat podcast proudly brought to you by Gallop TV. Punt well, be safe, and as always, we will see you in the number one box.